Hello friends, Techman Pat. Today we have a classic review. We are reviewing this, the DriveSense Ranger Duo dash cam camera. It's $299. In fact, I made a mistake in my previous video. I said it's $249, but it's $299 with the rear camera. And so we're going to be reviewing this one, the more expensive one, obviously $299, and we're going to look into it if it's actually any good. Now I've got some examples of video, both day, night, rain, shine, whatever it is. We've got some examples, and we're going to kind of compare it to two different spectrums here. We've got a GoPro here, a silver one, and then we've got a cheap 4K Ultra HD for $49 from Amazon that I'm going to talk about, that I still haven't really done a review because once I started using it, I thought I would complain about it too much. So we might use it for this video. The DriveSense Ranger Duo Dashcam is really a nice product. It almost feels Apple-y in one way, but we'll talk about why it doesn't in another direction. It comes with the actual little camera unit. As we can see here, it comes with a back camera, it comes with a mount and a GPS little module that you attach to the actual structure of it. The mounting mechanism is absolutely fantastic, as I showed over here, and it is absolutely a dream to put on. It's really easy and installation is a breeze. The cables, that's what you gotta flaff around with. You gotta put it in certain places or tuck it in behind some of the rubber seals around the doors, but it can be done. So if you're running the cables around, you probably won't see them inside the car. I've managed to do it without doing all that. It is 1080p at 30 frames. It uses a Sony chip, which I found a lot of products use. It's actually a very popular and very well-rounded sensor, which means it works really well and you don't get any issues. So I wanted to show you an example of the actual video that comes from the front camera, because the back camera is a little bit different. Here's the front. In a daytime setting on the freeway, you can see a lot of things very clearly. What you can't really quite tell is some of the actual registration numbers on the back of the cars in the distance. As they get closer, you'll be able to read those registrations. You can see them at a certain point when the cars do come closer to yourself, to the car. Now, you also have to kind of care about one other factor that this doesn't really speak about, and that is the fact that it's only as clear as your actual window. So when it starts raining, for example, the back of the car is absolutely useless to its camera. As you can see, a little bit of rain, and if you don't have a back window wiper blade, it's not going to work very well. So I had no usable video out of the back. But if you look at the back from a day point of view, as you can see, it's absolutely fine. It isn't as good as the front camera, let's not mince words. But what you will get is that if anybody rams you in the back, you will see their plate. And that's the most important thing, because let's say, for example, you are stationary and you get hit, this will capture it. It has a G sensor and a start sensor. So as soon as you turn on the car and you have it plugged into your power outlet, it will boot up and it'll start recording automatically. And I'm going to talk about how easy it is to set up, because this is absolutely the most easiest device I've set up in a long time. So once it does turn on, anytime you actually drive, it starts recording, and if you want to record a certain situation, there is a button right at the bottom, you tap, and that's it. And I'll show you that in a second. You can see over here. Once you've done that, it saves the video to the memory stick on the device, and it's really easy to get that out. Now, one more thing about the G sensor. If your car is hit while it is stationary, it has enough battery to boot up, after obviously driving and charging it a little bit, to boot up and allow you to record that event. It's great. You're sitting at a car park, car comes up, hits you in the back, they won't leave a note. Some people are dishonest, and at least you have some proof that somebody's hit you, and you can take it to insurance and sort that out. On the other side, we've also got the GPS location and also the speedometer. So it will show you the speed. Now, one thing that was a little bit weird, at one point I was doing about 950 kilometers an hour. Yeah, speeding, yeah. Okay, it's a pretty good car, 950 k's an hour, it's pretty good. So the point where it actually calibrated itself was a little bit down the line. Within the first hour, I saw some issues with the GPS not the actual location, but just the speed not quite catching how fast I'm going. But I found when I'm reviewing these videos that the actual distance and GPS location and the number that's showing there is actually quite close to what I remember doing. I used a lot of cruise control, so I was able to remember that I set it at 100, 102, whatever it might have been.
Here's a quick comparison between the GoPro and the dash cam. The GoPro is getting a little bit of light at an odd angle and things are smudging, so keep that in mind. But the dash cam is doing really, really well. However, apart from actually stopping and trying to work out what the actual registration numbers are, it's hard to just see it from a quick video. You will have to stop the video, make sure you get on the right frame and try and read a registration number, especially if it doesn't stop right in front of you.
Now there's a couple of features that I really was able to notice. In the dark video here, you can see that the actual dark sections are quite dark, but anywhere where there's light, it's bright enough for you to see what it is. And that's that wide dynamic range that they're talking about on the box. You can really notice it, especially if you put it up against something like this. If I walk with this out into the sun, everything will get oversaturated, just completely bright, and it won't be able to see some of the darker areas, and you won't be able to see detail. The back camera, on the other hand, unfortunately, is not as good. And that's where that little price difference comes in. That back camera is $50 extra. Is it worth it? I don't know. I don't know if that back camera is worth $50 more, but it is also an extra cable and it gives you an extra protection if something happens behind you. But the quality of that camera does not, to my eye, look 1080p. And as soon as I saw it, I had to go into the back end of the actual video and check the resolution. Lo and behold, it's only 720p. Now obviously that's not advertised on here, but you get the point. Back camera is not as good as the front camera. The max size of the SD card you can put in there is 64, which makes sense. You're gonna save a bunch of stuff, and if you're going on a long drive and you keep saving things, incidents that happen, you gotta remember to empty it onto your computer. And actually, this is when it comes to shine, this device and the way you connect it up and get the videos off. It is absolutely brilliant. When you take out the SD card, and I highly recommend having something like this. This was $10 from Amazon. It basically has two types of SD cards that you can plug in and put it straight into your computer and off you go. It opens up like a USB stick, and the way they structured the files in there is brilliant. As you can see, you open it up, you see the first menu where you want to go, no software required. It's just a USB drive that saves the files, and the files are actually pretty decent size and decent quality, obviously, for that 1080p. If you open that file, you get two options, front and rear, F and R. Perfect, great, thank you for separating the two, brilliant. You open them up and you've got the access to the videos. You can move them, edit them, put them into your editing program, or send it off to your insurance for whatever reason you might need. Now, there is other software you can actually download and install, and I haven't been able to find a free one. While on the website they do talk about software that you can use, which shows you something like this, a bit of a map, some more information, the video, and your GPS information on the side. So it is a little bit more helpful in regards to getting the exact picture, but if you're just after what happened, the speed you're going, the location, the time and date, it shows everything, it's written onto the image, it's there, no problem at all. So you don't need that software, and I wasn't able to find a free one, and the guys on the website don't provide it. So finally setting it up. As you may have seen in my installation video that I'll link below, it was really easy to install. The mounting is fantastic, and the software built in is out of the box, ready to go. No changes required. Plug it in, put the memory card in, and by the way, don't put the memory card in when you're sitting in the car. I lost this little card in between the seats, and it took me nearly 15 minutes to find it because it's black on black. I couldn't find it. And so I highly recommend not having that being put in at the same time when you're in the car, or at least be careful, put it in your lap and do it that way. In any case, the software out of the box, ready to go. You didn't have to change any settings, you didn't have to do anything. You press the button and off you go. And the other button is just to mute your sound, because you can hear everything in the car, including music and what you say. You can mute that. I really appreciate that. Sometimes pictures speak louder than words, and you don't need to hear me swearing my head off when some guy pulls in front of me and gives me the finger. Nobody needs to hear that. In any case, guys, This is worth $299. How does it compare to this? Well, this doesn't have the features that you require to make your life a lot easier in regards to recording, setting the record when you actually start the car, and also obviously recording when something hits your car. This is one of those things you set off and you record and that's it. And you could do a loop and then save it every so often. I know you can do that. But this is made for a specific reason and it's hard to compare, but what I can compare is the image quality. It's much better than one of these things. It's not as good as this, it's not as sharp, and obviously even if you make it 1080p at 30, it's a little bit sharper. But on this, you can see the image, you can see the cars, and with the video, you'll be able to make out the registration number, what actually happened, and at night, it's absolutely brilliant. The high dynamic range really, really works. Would I pay $299 for it? I don't know, but it's a very fair price for a device like this. Let me know in the comments, would you pay $299? What's a fair price? Comparably to other systems, and the fact that they're Australian is also a little bit of an added bonus because at least support, and if anything goes wrong, they're fairly local. So one thing I couldn't really test because it's winter is how well this would last in summer. And one of the things I noted straight away from this is that it has its own overheating grills, or basically grills to allow air to pass through. I could note that this was definitely done by an Australian company, knowing that Australia gets very, very hot.
And so I don't know if I can actually recommend this. It's quite pricey. It doesn't quite catch the registration numbers of cars unless it's a perfect situation. The back camera is an added bonus, but it doesn't actually capture well because it depends on your car, if you've got an actual windshield wiper or the actual time of day or even the resolution, and if it's raining, so it's not really that helpful. It's pricey. It does a job. I think if the price went down, it'd be an okay buy, but I can't strictly recommend this as the best dash cam, especially since the market is so saturated with other products.
You do get GPS, you do get a lot of other bits and pieces. They should also provide the software, which they don't. I couldn't find the link to download any software on their website. Friends, thank you very much for watching. Hope this has helped you learn about the product. Thank you very much for DriveSense for sending this for review, and hoping you guys subscribe, like, and let me know what you think. If you've got another one that you'd like to suggest, maybe I can get in touch with those guys and they can send it to me also for review. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you another one. Bye.